Today we are doing section 2.3. It's all about two-step equations. So our goal is to solve equations using two steps. So earlier this week we did a whole day of one step adding and subtracting, a whole day of one step multiplying and dividing. Now we're sort of putting them together. Each of these will have an adding and subtracting step and a multiplying and dividing step, for a total of 2 steps. You need to write these down in your notes. This is how we're going to solve these today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the adding and subtracting step. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the multiplication and division step. It's sort of like the order of operations, but in reverse. You undo it in the opposite order that you would do it if you were following the order of operations. So normally order of operations, we do multiplying and divide, then adding and subtract. It's reversed now. We're going to get rid of adding and subtraction first, then we're going to get rid of multiplying and dividing. So as you write this, put your line of equality where the equal sign is, and straight down through your workspace. The two things that are happening to the x, it's being multiplied by 2 and it's being added by 9. Which one do we want to undo first? The 9. The adding step is going to happen first on these. So we undo adding 9 by subtracting 9. If I subtract it from the left, I need to subtract it from the right as well. Alright, the 9's go away. We have 2x equals, what's 17 minus 9? 8. Very good. What? Mm-hmm. Well, is x by itself? No, so we're not done. How are we going to finish this? Divide by 2. Very good. Now the x is by itself. You're not done till you have x equals some number. What is 8 divided by 4? I did it. What is 8 divided by 2? It's 4. Sorry, I get ahead of myself. All right. Any questions? So do we want to start by getting rid of the multiplication or getting rid of the addition on number 2? The addition. You always get rid of the adding and subtracting first. So I need to subtract 1, subtract 1. I now have negative 4y equals negative 10. Questions so far? Alright, what would I do next? Divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. Can you do negative 10 divided by negative 4? Not evenly. So there's two options. You can reduce the fraction. I'm going to reduce this fraction by 2. Divide the top and the bottom both by 2. Since they're both negative, you can actually make them a positive. So you could give me the answer 5 over 2. That would be fine. Most of you have calculators, though. The calculators will give you the decimal. So if you'd prefer it in decimal form, that's fine. What is 5 divided by 2 in decimal form? What? No. 2.5. Either of these answers for me is fine. Most algebra teachers want just this one. So this is like the preferred answer, but this is acceptable as well because I know that this is what your calculator gives you. So it is up to you. Either of those is fine. You don't need to give me both. Just pick one. What are your questions on number 2? Alright, how do I start this? I am going to add 5 to both sides. You want to undo the adding and subtracting first. So that goes away. I have a divided by 3 equals, that's negative 7 plus 5. The signs are different, so you subtract the numbers, keep the sign, you get a negative 2. Now what? I'm already dividing by 3. Dividing does not undo dividing. Yes, you have to multiply both sides by 3. So the 3's cancel. I have a equals negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Questions? All right, here's number 4. go ahead and write that one down. All right, draw your line. And what do I want to do on this one? I want to add 1 to both sides. Good. You could also think of it as a minus -1. Minus -1 is the same thing as plus 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. -3 plus 1 gives me -2 equals, the 1's give me a 0, so you don't need to write them. They're gone. This is 6x. What am I dividing both sides by? 6. This is not -3. Okay, -3 would be if you divided 6 by 2. We're not dividing 6 by 2. We're dividing 2 by 6. Order does matter in division. Okay? So I have a negative divided by a positive. I know my answer is going to be negative. When you type it into the calculator, it gives you the decimal. I'm going to reduce the fraction. This is something that 2 goes into, both of them. When I divide the top by 2, I get a 1. When I divide the bottom by 2, I get a 3. So -1/3 is a fine answer. If you type this into your calculator, can someone tell me what they get?
0.3.
Yeah, you get -0.3. That's a fine answer as well. Either one of those is appropriate for this problem. What are your questions? All right, here's number 5. Number 5 looks easy, but it's actually super tricky. So go ahead and write this one down. Now, normally I would say look for the addition or subtraction sign, but this subtraction sign is with the C. It's not like C is being subtracted from, or it's not like something is being taken away from the C. The C is being taken away from something else. So don't think of this minus sign as being anywhere near the 8. It has nothing to do with the 8. It has to do with the C. What we want to do is get rid of that 8. Is that 8 positive or negative? Positive. If you want to put a plus sign in front of the 8 just to help you remember that, go for it. How do you undo a positive 8 or a plus 8? You have to minus 8. That's where people get lost on this one. For some reason, they want to add 8 because they see a minus sign. That's not right. Positive 8 plus 8, that would give you 16, not 0. So you got to make sure you're doing the right sign with your 8. We're taking away 8 because we already have the positive 8. So the 8's are now gone. I still have the negative sign with the C, though. If I wanted to put a number with that, what number would it be? Negative, right here. Negative 1C. I'm going to sneak a 1 in there, too. And then, yes, you were correct. This is 9 over here. Sorry, I was not pointing to the right spot. So I have negative 1C equals 9. Is C by itself? No, it's being multiplied by a negative 1. How do you undo multiplying by negative 1? You divide by negative 1. This is going to give me C equals, what is 9 divided by negative 1? Negative 9. Very good. What questions do you have? These are very tricky. This would be a really good one to plug back in and see if it works. You have 8 minus negative 9. Well, minus a negative is like a plus, and 8 plus 9 is 17. Yeah, you need to get rid of the minus 4. You get rid of minus 4 by adding 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. That gives me 3n equals 15. Then what do I do? Divide both sides by 3. What is n? 5. Very good. And you could plug 5 back in if you wanted to check your work. Questions? Whoop.
Can you go back to
Yes, I can. Hold on one second. How should I start this one? You should subtract that 14. Very good. If you want to put the plus in front of the 14 to help you keep your sign straight, to remember that the 14 is positive, you can if you want. That is up to you. I still have the negative 1b equals, what is 19 minus 14? 5. Very good. And then the final step on this one? Divide both sides by negative 1. Good. So this is going to be b equals negative 5. Bless you. Questions? How should I start this one? What about the 2?
You add 2.
Add 2. Good. Then what?
Divide by negative 5.
Very good. Divide by what?
Negative 5.
Did you do what I always do and you accidentally said the answer instead of what you meant? It sounded like you said divide by negative 3. See? It's tricky. You gotta keep all these numbers in your head while you're talking. Alright, we do get that x equals negative 3. Like always, if you want to plug negative 3 back in for the x, that would be a negative times a negative, which would be a positive 15 minus 2 does give you 13, so it checks out. Alright, these are sort of the end of the, well, the next one's still sort of a basic type, but we're going to have to compare it to a different one. So write this one in your notes. Alright, so I did kind of lie. 9 is still just a standard two-step equation. How do I start this one?
Minus 4.
I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I have x divided by 6 equals, what is 16 minus 4?
4.
Careful.
No, 12.
12, very good. Now, how do I get the x by itself?
Divided by 6. I mean, top.
Yeah, multiply both sides by 6. So x equals what?
72.
72, very good. So notice that what is being divided by 6 here? What is being divided by 6 in the original problem? Just the x, okay? We're going to look at the other type that's very similar to this, except that a little bit more is being divided by your denominator. So soak this one in. Let me know if there's any place you're getting stuck. Already feels like they have a really good handle on number 9. All right. Write down number 10. This is where it gets a little tricky. I'm even going to write it down over here so we can see how they're different. The difference here is that there's more being divided by that denominator. The x and the 7 are being divided, not just the x. Okay? So, I like to use a little memory trick to help me with these types of problems. So let me tell you a little story. Who's really popular right now? Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Sorry.
I meant celebrities. Okay, so let's say Jay-Z and Beyonce are the X and the 7, okay? Jay-Z, Beyonce. Do you prefer a different celebrity pair? Nicki Minaj and who?
Meek Mill. Yes, they are.
No, they not.
Yes, they are.
Okay, we're not going to argue. Meek Mill
And Nicki Minaj.
and Nicki Minaj. Okay, so the X, we'll call X Nicki Minaj, and this is her boyfriend. Is this her boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nicki Minaj and her boyfriend, because I'm not going to butcher that name, the whole story. Okay, so if Nicki Minaj and her boyfriend were in a hotel, where would they be staying?
5-star hotel.
What part of the hotel?
The rich part.
The rich part. Where do the rich people stay in a hotel?
At the high
At the top. Okay, so these two are up in the penthouse suite. Do you think just anyone can get on the elevator and climb up to the penthouse? No, there is somebody guarding that elevator. That's called the bodyguard. This 3 is like the bodyguard. You cannot get to the X or the 7 until you go through the bodyguard. So we need to multiply both sides by 3. The entire left side and the entire right side. Now, the cool thing is, these two don't even know you're fighting with the bodyguard, right? They've got nothing to do with the 3. So don't distribute the 3 or do anything. They're up having a big party in the penthouse. You're down below taking care of the 3. So just take care of the 3. So on the left, you're now up in the penthouse suite. You've only got the top left, x minus 7. And then on the right, you have negative 36. Do you all see why we had to undo dividing first here? You got to get through the bodyguard up to the top. Here, the 4 on number 9, the 4 was fine. It wasn't up in the penthouse. It was just a regular old number hanging out. You could take care of it. But that 7 is with that X. Up top, you can't touch it until you get through the bodyguard of 3.
What you do to the bodyguard?
Oh, I can't disclose that information. All right, what should I do now? Add 7 to both sides. Very good. So this is x equals negative 29.
How did you answer that?
I've been doing math for a while. 2 steps. 2-step equation. So does order matter? Yes, it does matter. What is the correct order for the regular ones? Not the bodyguard, just the regular ones. What's the correct order? Add, subtract first, then multiply, divide. Remember, the bodyguard sort of messes things up, but typically you get rid of addition and subtraction first, then you get rid of multiplying and dividing. And how can I check to see if an answer is correct?
You plug it in for the variable.
Yeah, you plug it in, take the variable out, plug it in, and then just see if it makes any sense. Any questions?